Alrighty, so my suggestion would be with this 1B test review that you do the review on your own first and then you watch this video. So if you're already watching this video and you didn't do it on your own, pause the video, go back, do the review. If you want to print it, that's fine, or if you want to just put it on line paper, that's fine too. But I would do the review first and then watch this video to see if you got them right or wrong. Watch the explanations. So anyway, on problems 1 and 2 here, the big thing you need to do first is make sure that you're solving for the correct variable. So number 1, I said to solve for x. So that means we want to get x equals. So the first thing we got to do is move y to the other side. So I'm going to use that 0y as my placeholder for this video, and I'm going to subtract 4y from both sides. So that means now I have 2x equals negative 4y plus 24. I want to get just x equals, so I got to get rid of that 2. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. So that means I get x equals negative 2y plus 12 for a final answer. But again, solve for x means I want x equals. So when I get to number 2 then, I want to solve for y. So that means I'm going to move x to the other side. So first thing I'm going to do is put 0x minus 30 on the other side. Don't forget about that negative there. Okay, but I put the 0x there as a placeholder to move that 3x. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So I get 5y equals 3x minus 30. So next up then, I got to divide everything by 5. So I still have 5 times y, so I'm going to divide everything by 5 to just get y equals. So that means y is going to end up equaling 3/5. Just leave it as 3/5 x. Don't have to reduce it anymore. 30 divided by 5 is 6. And now I'm done. Y equals 3/5 x minus 6. Alright, so next up we have some absolute value equations. So remember, big thing here is you're going to get those 2 solutions. Okay, if your absolute value equals a positive, you're always going to have 2 solutions because I can have x plus 4 equals 5, and I could also have x plus 4 equals negative 5. So subtract 4 from both sides, I get x equals 1, and subtract 4, x equals negative 9. And those are your 2 answers there. So most cases, you're going to end up with 2 solutions. There are going to be some cases where you don't, like with the next one. So in the next absolute value equation, we have absolute value of x minus 2. Then we add 12 is equal to 10. So first thing I got to do here, I just want to rewrite it first, is I got to isolate the absolute value. So I'm going to isolate the absolute value of x minus 2 as my first step. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I get the absolute value of x minus 2 equals 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Alright? Absolute values can't equal a negative. Absolute value represents distance from 0, and distance cannot be negative. So, all you have to do is say no solution. That's it. You don't have to write all that other stuff there. Absolute value equals a negative. You're over and done with. Don't take it any further. It's one of those things like you just got to recognize, okay? So kind of take an inventory, after you finish each step of a problem, be like, all right, now I got the absolute value of x minus 2 equals a negative. No good, okay? Just, you're done. Same kind of deal on number 5. You got to isolate absolute value of x plus 4. So first thing I do is subtract 8 from both sides. So now I have 3 times the absolute value of x plus 4 equals 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. That's okay. Divide both sides by 3. So the absolute value of x plus 4 equals 0, which is fine, okay? Just drop the absolute value. We have x plus 4 equals 0. So x equals -4. All right, next up here, solving proportions. So again, first thing we got to do here is cross multiply. So that means I'm going to have 4 times x minus 3 equals 6 times x plus 2. So it's going to give me 4x minus 12 equals 6x plus 12. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So I get negative 12 equals 2x plus 12. Then I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So that means I'm going to have negative 24 equals 2x. So that means x equals negative 12. So again, really the new stuff here is just cross multiply. Once you cross multiply, make sure you distribute to both terms. You know, don't end up with like a 4x minus 3 here. You got to distribute to both. So 4x minus 12, 6x plus 12, that kind of thing. And same thing on the next one here. I'm going to do my 5 times 6 first, equals 11 times this negative x plus 3. So I get 30 equals negative 11x plus 33. So I'm going to subtract 33 from both sides. So that means I get negative 3 equals negative 11x. So that means x is going to equal negative 3 divided by negative 11. The only simplifying you have to do here is negative divided by a negative is a positive, so you should have positive 3/11. All right, number 8 here. The ratio of boys to girls in a class is 3 to 2. If there are 18 boys, how many girls are there? So your first ratio was 3 to 2, and that's boys to girls. Okay, so we're going to keep boys in the numerator, girls in the denominator. So if there's 18 boys, I'm going to put that in the numerator. How many girls are there? We'll just make that x. Cross multiply, 3x, 3 times x, 2 times 18 is 36. So that means x equals 12. And again, if you want to check this, we got x equals 12, so that means 3 over 2 equals 18 over 12. If you reduce that down, both are divisible by 6, you're going to get 3 halves. So 3 halves equals 3 halves, you're good to go. So next up, the ratio of orange juice to water in a drink is 1 to 6. If 18 cups of water are used to make a pitcher of orange juice, how many cups of orange juice are needed? So again, we go ratio of 1 to 6. So I'm just going to write that down. Just change that ratio into a fraction. And that is the ratio of juice to water. Again, using like a concentrate here. So obviously there's a lot more juice, or there's a lot more water than juice here, diluting it. So if they use 18 cups of water, I'm keeping water in the denominator. We got to figure out about juice there. So cross multiply 6x equals 18. So x equals 3 cups of juice. All right, so the dimensions of a 3-foot by 7-foot rectangle are multiplied by 4. What is the ratio of the areas of the rectangles? So if you're starting off with a 3-foot by 7-foot, and this is not going to be to scale here, but if all the dimensions are multiplied by 4, well, that means your width is now 12, your length is 28. So this one had an area of 21. What's 12 times? 12 times 28 is 336 square feet. So what is the ratio of the areas? We're going to do 21 to 336. So again, you want to simplify that, 21n over d 336, and you get 1 to 16. It's always the square of the scale factor. So this is the answer that I would want when you compare the areas. Again, these are equivalent ratios, just we want it reduced, okay? All right, so next up it says, inspector to cereal factory needs to make sure each box of cereal weighs 24.5 ounces. Any box of cereal that differs by more than 0.02 ounces it is not sold. Write an absolute value equation to represent the situation. So this is going to be your setup for all of them. It's always going to be x minus whatever the weight should be or the setting should be, like a temperature. So that's going to be your equation. So that means you need to solve x minus 24.5 equals 0.02, and x minus 24.5 equals negative 0.02. So this is going to give me x equals 24.52. That would be the max weight, and x equals 24.48. That would be the minimum weight. All right, so Kyle's 6.25 feet tall. He cast a shadow that's 5 feet long. At the same time, a flagpole casts a shadow that is 18 feet long. How tall is the flag post? So when we talk about Kyle, so Kyle's 6.25 feet tall. 6.25, that's the height of the triangle. The other leg would be he cast a shadow 5 feet, so that's 5. Then we talk about this flagpole. The flagpole casts a shadow that's 18 feet long. We're trying to figure out the height. So in our ratios here, the height will go in the numerator. The shadow will go in the denominator. So I got 6.25 over 5, and that's going to equal the height of the flagpole divided by the shadow of the flagpole. And that's the ratio we're going to solve now. So that means I'm going to get, we cross multiply, get 5x equals 112.5, and x is going to equal 22.5 feet. That's how tall the flagpole is. All right, so there's a couple more problems for me to go over on here. That's as long as I'm going to make this video. I'll finish them up here. So again, these are kind of like repeats of problems that we did before. So first up, we got to solve for y here. So that means I'm going to have 8x minus 4y equals 0x minus 24. So negative 4y is going to equal negative 8x. I subtracted 8x from both sides, minus 24. So y is going to equal 2x plus 6. Subtract 12 from both sides. So I get 5 times the absolute value of x minus 7 equals 15. Then I got to divide both sides by 5. So we end up with x equals 10 and x equals 4. Again, here's another one with the shadows. So dog will go first. It's 2.5 feet tall. Shadow is 1.75. So the tree's got a 12-foot shadow. So we're going to go height divided by the shadow. So that means I'm going to have 2.5 over 1.75 equals, again, the height of the tree we're trying to figure out. The shadow is 12. So that means I'm going to get 1.75x equals 30. And we're going to just go with an approximate here, 17.14 feet tall. All right, the rest of these, I'll just leave them as solutions for you. At this point, we're at 15 minutes. So, again, those problems that we did, good problems to review. Make sure you maybe watch this video twice.